Welcome to the Canoga Park Youth Arts Center's new series, Seeing and Drawing, where I'll show you how you can draw anything you want by finding the basic shapes. Today, we're going to learn how to draw a robot. Remember Mr. Crab? Mr. Crab is a robot from SpongeBob. Let's see what we're going to be making today. So here's my robot, and you can see there's basic shapes that is made out of these really basic shapes. When the sci-fi novels started coming out in the 40s and 50s, they introduced us to the idea of a robot. Now, robots can do all kinds of things. It's up to you what you want your robot to do. That's what the people who design them do. They think about, what is this robot going to do? Because your imagination can run wild on this. It doesn't need regular legs or regular arms. We're going to take a look at some, and you can see the different types of robots people have already made. Let's look at some of these robots. Now, look at this robot. Now, this robot has no nose and no mouth, and it looks more modern. And even the way it gets around, maybe it hovers, and it doesn't even need to be on the ground. And look at the arms. Now, we're going to see the arms on a lot of them are like clamps, so they can grab onto things. Now, this robot is a little older, was designed a little bit longer ago, and you can see it's more chunky. It's got squares, squares, rectangles, and these arms also have those little pinchers on them. And they're really fun to do because you can fill in the spaces any way you want. We got our little antenna, eyes, again, no nose, but it looks like we may have some ears. Now here's a funny one down here. Almost looks like it was made with some Lego parts. You can see what I mean about these clamp hands. They kind of hold on like that. But it's got wires on it, different types of feet, and weird little eyes like that. Again, no mouth, no nose, but you can do anything you want. Let's come up here to this happy yellow guy. Now, his arms bend because they look like slinkies in a way, and he's got these little clips on them. And this is a very unusual type of antenna. That's a cool thing to do. But look, he's got his whole face on there. We got a square, we got a square. We just have rectangles for the feet. And these arms are like noodles, so they're very easy. This one appears to have actually been made out of a cardboard box, which is a very fun project. You get different colored boxes, and you can stack them on top of each other. We got a little crank going on here, and he's got these cool pieces that come off to the side, and he's got two regular legs. Now, if we go down to our last robot, you can see this robot also looks a little bit like R2-D2. You can tell because of this top part here. So this is a half circle. The eyes are circles. We've got our square body, and he actually has fingers. He's the first one that we've seen that has actual fingers going on. And then his legs here. Now, they design robots that are like dogs too, that do different types of tasks. So robots can be really fun. Let's take a look at mine again. Let's look at some of these shapes. I used a half circle for my robot's head. I gave him something that almost looks like vertebrae for the neck so he can tilt his head and move it forward. I'm thinking of these things as I'm designing my robot. What do I want my robot to do? What does he need to be able to do? I have my big square body, and then I wanted my robot to have like one wheel that he kind of got along on. So I had to figure out a way of attaching my wheels, so I figured, how about a triangle? And now with my arms, I wanted my arms to have free movement, so I made this kind of spongy material that can bend a lot for my hands to go on. But my robot can't be just anywhere in empty space, so I put my robot on an alien world. I kept my horizon line where the sky meets the land really low, and I put in some funny trees. You can do anything you want on an alien landscape. I gave it a planet and a couple other planets here. So making a robot can be really fun because there's no rules. All right, shall we try making a robot? Our robot is going to be in a landscape. We can't forget that. He can't just be hanging out in nowhere land. So as always, it's the horizon line. Remember I said it was low? That way our robot looks really, really close to us. I'm going to give him some mountains, but we can give him some funny looking mountains because we are on a weird different planet. So it doesn't matter what our mountains look like because nobody's been to this planet before. All right, there's our landscape. Now I can go ahead and put my trees in later. I'm going to start with my circle down here. this is the wheel that my robot is going to be mobile on. So now I'm going to put another little circle in here, right? Here's the center of it. Think of your bicycle wheels. This is the center of your bicycle wheel. And then there's a little guy that comes up like this to attach it, and then we've got our triangle. So far I'm looking at a circle and a triangle. Pretty easy. I'm going to make this so that you can see through it. I only need the brackets, I don't need the whole thing. Now I'm going to build a square. This is the bulk of my robot's body, a rectangle actually more. There we go. But he has to be attached somehow here. So all I did was put these little marks like this. Now this is attached to this, and this is attached to this. Now I've got my little neck pieces, our little vertebrae, so that my neck on my robot can turn around and look at me if it wants to. And for my robot's head, I'm giving him a half circle. We saw that on some of the examples. We saw a half circle for a head. Now I'm going to give him some eyes. Again, you guys can do this any way you want. There's no rules, and there's certainly no rules with robots. Give him his little mouth, put little eyes in here. Let's give him his little antenna. All right. Now we need some arms on our little guy, don't we? So I'm just going to give him these funny little noodle arms. Noodle arms. And then we got to give him his little clamps. They look like magnets or horseshoes. And then that way they can grab onto things. Let's give him his other arm. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And his magnet-looking hands. Put a couple stripes on that. Now the inside of this is kind of totally up to you. You know, it's just a bunch of bells and whistles, switches and lights, little charts. So you can fill this inside up any way you want. And again, a lot of it depends on what you want your robot to do. Do you want your robot to make your bed? Then he should probably have really long arms. Do you want your robot to bring you food? Then he should have some sort of tray that's attached to his arms, right? Let's put a couple of these up here. We don't really know what they do, but they're knobs to control. And this is one of those oscilloscopes, just to let us know that our guy's talking to us. All right, I'm going to throw in a couple planets. Those are easy. Circles, circles. And look, I know you guys like the planet Saturn, so here's how we're going to do Saturn. First you do a circle, but it has the ring around it, right? So you do a smile. See that smile? And then all we do is put the smile behind the planet like that, and now we got a ring that goes around Saturn, like that. Now the last thing we have to do are our trees. Those are easy. And again, you can make up trees. We're on another planet. We don't know what trees look like on another planet. So I'm going to make these funny looking trees. There's something under there. I'm going to make these funny looking trees that look more like, kind of like a modern Christmas tree. I start at the top with a little circle, and my ovals get a little bit bigger as I come down. And then I'm just going to give the trunk to the tree, like this. And then there's the bottom. All right. It's a robot. Let's see. Well, we made a robot, but as with all things, robots can have color in them and be more exciting. So I made a collage. A collage is where I cut out pieces of paper for my robot, different colored paper. And remember, we only use basic shapes, squares, circles, triangles, rectangles. So I made my robot. First I painted my background for my robot. You have to do that first. You can't really paint around your robot. So paint your background. I made it Mars, like our Mars rover is now on Mars, so I made it more like a Mars landscape. And the sky, I don't know, any color you want, because it's a different planet. But you can see, I cut out all these little sheets of paper, and then I overlapped them. This was the first piece, then I put that on top of that, then I put that on top of that. I did the same thing with my wheel. First I cut out a yellow circle, then I cut out a black circle, then I cut out the light yellow one and glued them on top of each other. And look at my arms. They actually come right off the paper. You can do that. You know how to fold those flags. So a collage is a really fun way, and especially if you have little bits and pieces around your house, like little gears and chains and little pieces from the junk drawer, you can add those things on too. And you can have a lot of fun with this, because a robot is really about your imaginations. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Seeing and Drawing. If you make a robot, you'd like to show it to us, send it in. We'd love to see it. Have a great day.